syncs the...
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay.
With the video and the stuff.
So,
Hey,
so
what's
if we
going
do
on,
the
peeps? Because
back
we
and
got
forth.
cameras. I don't know if you guys can see that camera.
Probably not.
We're doing some crazy stuff today. So today's a crossover episode because I took over his show a couple of days ago with the beginning part of this. I brought him in on ours, so he's going to have a big portion of what's going on here. Okay. Today we're talking all things metal.
Like actual metal.
Yeah.
Not like metal.
You know, we might throw some metal music in there just in case.
Actually, speaking of metal, Anthrax has new stuff out, and so does
Megadeth.
Just wanted to get that out since we're on his channel.
And we do
And
actually
it'll
talk
be on my
music
channel.
once in a while. For those of you who don't know and have accidentally stumbled across this, I am Chaco. This is my partner in crime, big little brother, and general creator of chaos, Jakeofalltrades, formerly known as the other guy. He's been in the background for a long time. We figured it was time we actually got him out on the show. Okay. Today we're coming from my man cave, my man shelter, my safe haven from all things frilly, pink, and otherwise not manly. Except for the fact that my girlfriend's car is parked right behind us, which is about the only thing she has.
The Honda Civic C.
So anyway, today we're talking about metal, and one of my hobbies that I have recently come up with is amateur forging and making knives. Now I've done a very small bit of forging. I want to get into that. I've done a little bit more in the making knives category. We have been in the metal melting, bending, tweaking realm for many years.
Yeah.
We're both welders, one better than the other, but mine don't fall apart anymore, so I'm getting better.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Start
I don't do it professionally, so this happens. We're going to take you through a quick tour of my amateur shop, and you're going to get to see what his episode from the other day all led up to, which was, you know, us freezing our asses off while we melted metal.
Yeah. Playing with fire has never been so cold.
All right, so we're going to take a minute to reset. Okay, it'll be real quick because I'm just going to do a cutscene. And then you guys get to see some of the stuff we're working with and just kind of a general shop tour. So hang on one second. All right, so welcome back. And welcome back. So that was kind of weird, but we've got two cameras going on right now, so we can, you know, kind of poke around and show you guys this super awesome spread of tools that I've acquired in the shade tree realm. Okay, I've kind of laid everything out. That, pay no attention to, that's actually not part of this. That's part of the setup.
I would like to say that there was a lot of over-engineering that went into the short intermission.
Camera rigging, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 zip ties, a couple of screws, and
Possibly stitches.
and some blood went into relocating 2 cameras.
Alright, so, in the view we have from up top, you can kind of see a little bit of what I work with. This is by no means a full-on metalworking setup, okay? This is not where I would like to be just yet, but it's a good start, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, judging by what we have. Now, front and center, okay, you guys can see a couple of my knife blanks. Right? These are just me experimenting. So some of my bevels are a little bit weird, and the grinding isn't quite great. And actually, a couple of them I tried some heat treating stuff on, and that's why you'll see some different colors and some really nasty scrapes in them, because I was trying to work with some heat treating here. So anyway, first off, this bad boy right here is actually just generic welding steel. And actually, I managed to put a pretty good edge on it. That's not ever going to be a knife. This is scrap that I have practiced my shaping with. Okay. So, yeah, that's nothing special. Okay. These two are actually made of tool steel, all right? And these can be knives once I get done just butchering them. Because they're Skinners.
Yeah.
So, anyway, here you can kind of see some of the stuff I've been working on. I have a little surprise back here for you. This is actually going to be a knife one day. The design. This is being built for Jakeofalltrades one day. Now, this, again, proof of concept, is made out of really crappy welding steel and not anything else. It actually has a pretty decent edge on it for being a piece of junk. You could cut some wood with this a little bit, like 2 or 3 times. So, but yeah, there's some of the knives. Now, I'm going to go get these out of shot so we can move for everything, and I'm going to give my partner in crime here a couple of minutes to talk about some unscripted things, because I don't think he was prepared for that.
Am I ever really prepared for anything? Alright, so I'm a welder, kind of. I'm basically...
Oh, that's staying in.
Yeah, I figured. I'm more of an engine guy now, but I dabble in welding. I've been welding now for 8 or 9 years. Not professionally, just as a hobby. I made my brother a set of bumpers for his truck that he decided to cut off and change and re-weld. And when we were pushing my Project Bronco, or no, Blazer, it was a Blazer, we were pushing into the
Was
garage.
is a very key word, because it's
Yeah.
still there, but
Yeah.
it's not much of a Blazer anymore.
So, what was the Project Blazer? The winch mount bumper fell off. So, what? Say a third of a Blazer? So, a third of a Blazer took out what was a nicely built bumper that was then customized into a not so nice bumper.
Yeah, but your bumper took out that Dodge.
Yeah, and put a nice dent in my truck, too.
Yeah. A week later, you put a big dent in it, too, so.
Well, that guardrail came out of nowhere. Alright, so here we have a piece of train track. This is some very old train track, and I can tell I'm no metallurgist. Metal.
I think you were correct.
One of those things. But when I was cutting through this, I cut the top portion, which is the thickest at almost 7/8 of an inch, probably at its thickest. Cut right through that. I started going down through the center because, you know, it looks like an I-beam. I'll show you there. Cutting through here, nothing. I came down here and it started popping. Shouldn't really do that. It's thinner material. Should be a little bit easier to cut. But I was hitting pockets of lesser grade material because this is a mild steel. Might be hardened a little bit depending on how old it actually is. But I was hitting pockets of unformed or uncoagulated, unmolded chunks of carbon. Little deposits of impurities. So I get little flare-ups, little, you know, chunks, little pops. But for the most part, a basic tool set will do cuts on this. It's not the nicest cut, but this was the first one I've made after being spoiled and using a plasma cutter for the last 5 or 6 months. But yeah, my cuts after that got better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, here is some train track that gonna do something with.
The eventual plan is for this to become a shade tree anvil. The reason I say shade tree is I have done some pricing, as I'm sure you're aware. A legitimate anvil that a farrier would use, a knife maker would use, or any type of blacksmith, generally start at like $200, and I've heard them go as high as $700 depending on the size. Now, I don't have that kind of disposable income for an anvil that, because this isn't my profession, it's just a hobby, I wouldn't get any return on per se. So, we're going the old school method. Basically, the top of this is going to get flattened out a little bit more. It does have a nice contour right here for doing some of my 90-degree edges, and I'm thinking of putting a point on the front. I'm not 100% sure. This part will get cleaned up a little bit for aesthetic reasons more than anything. And then it's just going to get secured, and that's going to be the run. So that's my foot of train track here. Now, surprisingly, it's not as heavy as I thought it was. This bad boy is a little bit heavier. This bad boy, the sole purpose for me getting this in this length is to stand it up in a thus-wise fashion. Okay? I'm going to sink it in some sand and gravel and whatnot to help it absorb the impacts a little bit. This is for bending and hammering on some much heavier material. And basically, I'm only going to have a very small space to work on. I'm going to get my upper camera here. Right in here is where it's going to get flattened down. That's going to be my striking surface, so that this whole bulk can absorb the majority of it, everything it can. And again, this is going to be for some of the heavier stuff that I want to work on. So that's the plan with this bad boy. And to give me a frickin' workout every time I have to move it. Alright, so I'm going to clean off my workbench here. Okay. And we're going to move on to some of the other stuff that I work with pretty regularly. Alright? I bought these. Not gonna lie, I bought them. They're not great, but they work. And actually, I just had to recently straighten them a little bit. They were bowed for grabbing bigger items because I'm grabbing knife blades. It wasn't really necessary to have them that crazy big. So this is the first set I've ever owned. I plan on making my own set in the near future. But they're simple tongs, just for grabbing stuff. Next, we're going to take a look at my collection of hammers. Not the greatest collection in the world. I wish I had Caveman's first hammer, but I didn't get everything in separation, so I'm lucky I got what I got. This bad boy, I have no idea how old this is. This has got a little bit of weight to it, and it's going to get a new new handle? Go with handle?
Handle for now.
We'll go with handle. Because this is a little bit weathered. Other than that, I might wire wheel the top of it to clean it up. I'm not screwing with that. That's got some weight to it. One of the big things that I've learned in my short period of blacksmithing / knife making and stuff is you do need some weight, but you have to start somewhere. This little guy is 2 pounds. And swinging this for, I was swinging it about 20 minutes the other day, straightening these bad boys out, gives you a hell of a workout. And this is not a great blacksmith's tool. The fiberglass is not great. It should really be wood.
But for a free hammer...
Yeah, it was free, so I can't argue. This actually gets used more in the automotive side of house than anything.
And the stress relief, too.
Yeah, I've broken a lot. Stress relieved a lot of stuff. So yeah, those are the super awesome, fun toys that I get to play with pretty regularly.
I would like to make one little caveat, I guess. When you're buying hammers, yard sales, estate sales, auctions, you want to find the old, heavy, used hammers.
Yeah. These
heads, there's a reason it looks like this, and it's possibly 80 years old, because it's built to last.
Yeah. This is brand new. I'm not going to lie, I bought it from Harbor Freight. It's a Pittsburgh hammer. The metal in this hammer, nothing like the metal in that. Okay? And that's why this one, the old bastard right here, this ugly son of a bitch, is going to get a new handle and continue to be used. Because this is a fucking hammer. This just kind of sets things. It works for now. Credit where credit's due. You go with the old stuff because it's built to last. Hence the reason I'm using this ancient pair of tongs, which are definitely older than me. Alright, we're going to reset We got some other stuff to talk about, and want to break out the forges?
Yeah, while you're doing that, I'm
Or do
going
you wanna-
to get a couple of price lists going on. Alright, so we are back, and I just wanted to take some time, since this was the spur of the moment, kind of no planning really other than, hey, you want to make a video? Okay.
Well, we were joking in the off time, and our plan is to eventually have a network like accidentally discover us on YouTube and go, hey, these idiots like have some knowledge about things,
And they're funny.
and
that
they
one with the beard is good
destroy
looking.
shit. Just like, it's interesting. I think we could make this work. So on that note, Discovery Channel and History Channel execs, we love your channels.
Yes, very much
so.
so.
If you guys would like to feature us, as we stated last week, we are big fans of the Street Outlaws guys.
Yes.
And the Gas Monkey guys, most of them. And on History Channel, I love Forged in Fire, so hey, shout out to all that. If you guys want to have us on the channel, we would love to. It is a package deal, though. You have to take Coop. Sorry.
He's lovable.
So, back to where we were.
Here we are back to the simple price ranges just to get started in a little bit of everything. Because, again, Jakeofalltrades channel, that's what I do. I do a little bit of everything. I'm not good, or I'm not perfect at anything, but I can fumble my way through almost anything. So, here we have a Campbell Hausfeld, or a Walmart brand stick welder. And the stick welder you have here,
I actually have sticks handy.
you got sticks
They're not
handy.
good quality, but they're here.
So you have the stick holder, or the electrode holder, or the amp clamp. It's all sorts of different names. And this, simply enough, goes into the clamp like so. Or it can go in like so.
You know what?
Or
Can
like so.
can I stop you for a second? I apologize. This is driving me nuts. Okay? And I can't remove it because we don't have enough extension cord cable. Alright.
Have a seat.
It's better. Start over.
Okay. All the way from the beginning?
What do you think? You want to start over again?
Yeah.
Alright. Go ahead, do your...
Okay. Okay, so here we are, back from our short intermission / coffee break.
Yes, because it is cold as hell right now. If hell was cold.
Yeah, I don't really get that expression, but because everything is as hell, hot as hell, cold as hell, boring as hell. Now, I think if you're nut deep in fire, I don't think there would be anything boring about that.
Well, again, everybody says it's fire, but it's a punishment. What if you're from a tropical culture? Hell would be cold.
That is true. That is true.
Okay, enough of that. That's Coop's bit. We're not getting into that.
Sorry, Coop. Had to. So, here we are with my portion of today's show. I want to go over a small shopping list, I guess. Go over some prices. Go over the basic necessities of getting into metal fabrication. Both cutting and putting back together.
On that subject, once we get to the actual cutting portion, I am going to hop in because I do have a bit. But you're driving.
Okay, so here we have a Campbell Hausfeld, Husenfield, however you say it. This is, I think, $90 from Walmart.
I think that's an old price. I think you can get these dirt cheap right now. On that note, this is a very low-powered variant.
Yes, this is 110 volt. I think
70 amps.
it's a 70 amp rated welder, 70 amp output, but I think it runs off of a 15 amp input.
Yeah, because we were running it here, and I don't have a whole lot going on.
But this is your one of the most basic welders out there. You have a ground clamp, and you have an amp clamp, or the electrode holder, whatever you may call it. And here we have the electrode, the stick, the...
Do my best Vanna White here while I show off the electrode.
There you go.
Okay, sorry.
This is a carbon rod. So this is for mild steel, high carbon steel, pretty much anything that a basement welder or a hobbyist would need to weld.
That's at home on a farm. It's a general use, not very good at a whole lot of stuff, but you know, you could weld the hay baler back together within reason. You could weld up the orb of power in your off-road Chevy, which I may or may not have done with that particular welder, and possibly killed it.
But there are a lot of different electrodes, and if you're getting into it, my best suggestion is to pick up a book. How to Weld for Dummies, the basics of metal fusion. There are a lot of good reading material out there. There is a lot of good reading material out there.
It's okay, it's Saturday.
I'm running low on coffee, yeah.
English is optional.
You get your 6010 and 6011. Good for fusion of almost anything, but a very brittle weld. And then you got your 7014 and your 7018. Again, very good fusion, a little bit softer, but a little bit harder to manage for the beginner. A 6011, high arc, short arc, you can really push the weld in there. It's very forgiving. 7018 though, that you got to have a little bit of control. And again, try to match the electrode thickness, which is that portion there, which lighting is kind of bad because again, spur of the moment thing.
Yeah, the man cave is not quite set up for video production yet.
But this is it.
Yeah.
It's 20 pounds, 110. You can throw it on the bottom shelf, hide it under your toolbox, whatever, pull it out when you need it, and you're good to go. This will get you through a lot for maybe $70 now. I don't know. It's been
our game has stepped up a little bit in the last couple of years.
So. 7 or 8 years since we've had this. So let me get this brick out of the way.
Yeah, that particular device is almost kept around for conversation and nostalgia purposes. Yes, it works. Careful, that beam is still there.
Yep.
But yeah, it's up and running. You need a charger, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to make my leave. I'm going to run upstairs and get him a charger. So you're going to finish your bit. I'll be back.
Alright, so back to my bit. Here we have a flux core welder. Now you might have heard the term flux interchanged with MIG. No. Same process, but completely different materials. Flux core wire has a coating on the inside that when you're welding, the flux core floats to the top and protects the metal that you're fusing. So when you're done with flux core welding, you have scale. You have chunks, you have little nodules, I guess, of stuff that you have to clean off.
If you bear with, I believe I have some very ugly flux core welding stuff laying around.
Might have a good example here. But now, a MIG welder, which I will show you in probably my next video. Not the one with the railroad ties, but the one after that. I will be doing an unboxing of a brand new welder, and I will be running you through my shop.
Formerly our shop.
Formerly our shop, yes. So here is some examples of
Okay. So,
bad
I'm
welding.
going to come over to this guy right here. Alright. Yeah. Alright. Actually, that may or may not work. Alright. Now, one of the things that you're going to see, and this is something that I have learned to kind of strive against, you see the booger-like substances right in there? Yeah, actually that lighting is working out pretty well, surprisingly. Alright, you see all that? Okay. See all the little nubs and little pops and bubbles and everything? Okay, this is an old piece. It's not a great example. Between the two of us, our skills as welders have changed drastically over the years. So, yes, there is still times where you will see some kind of boogery welds. Typically, it's because one of us forgets to turn on the gas, or was too lazy to clean off everything beforehand.
Yeah. So, back to this. This is the same setup as... Yeah, that charger is... Or the charging port in my phone is messed up.
Sorry about that.
But this is flux core. This is an AC machine. And you know what AC is. It doesn't know where the electrons are flowing to or from. So...
It's just freaking out over there?
Yeah. It's charging, it's not charging, it's charging, it's not charging. I don't know. But now, a MIG is straight wire. There's no flux core in it. It's weldable material. And there is a tank of C25, which is CO2 argon mix in a 75-25 ratio. That acts as the flux. That protects the hot weld, the molten puddle of awesome, as I like to call it, which I just started calling it that. I don't know where that came from. But this is, again, you could probably pick up a basic 110 20 amp machine for...
Truthfully, I think Harbor Freight is a place where I get a lot of hand tools, because in most cases I end up beating the hell out of the hand tools anyway. I believe you can get one of these for right around $100. Not bad. A lot of times you'll hear them referred to as sparkers. Again, you know, entry-level stuff. We welded a lot of stuff with that. Actually, I think you welded my first bumper with one of these, didn't we? It was between the stick and this.
Yeah.
And this bad boy took out a Dodge.
So that is, again, you have two welders. And with these two welders and a little bit of practice, you can pretty much conquer anything within the hobbyist.
Yeah. I would definitely invest in a heavy wire brush.
And a chipping hammer.
And a chipping hammer.
For the stick, mostly, but for the flux.
Yeah, it works as well. Because again, there's a lot of spatter and stuff like that. And if you get a heavy wire brush, you can usually, by hand, brush that stuff right off pretty quick. The flux core tends to spark a lot more than a true MIG, but a MIG will still spark and spit and sputter. It's a byproduct. If you guys want to get real precise, you need a TIG welder, which, you know,
will hopefully be in either the next video or the video after that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do an unboxing of my new toys. So let me get this out of the way, and now we go on to the cutting.
Alright, while he's out of the way, we're going to talk real quick. My recent hobby in the knife-making realm has kind of put me at, I don't want to say somewhat of a disadvantage. I'm not a fully built shop. Okay? I can get a lot done in here. I can build a lot. I have a drill press that is metal capable. It's not great, but it works for metal. I have some grinding equipment that is not... It's not designed for metal, but it works pretty well for working with metal. Entry-level cutting stuff. I mean, I've got... Right here is $10 worth of blades and saws. And you know what? Almost every one of these knives was made using either a hand drill or one of these. Yeah, I had to go back and round it out on the grinder, but it works. Okay? So, don't be afraid to put in a little arm work. Yeah, I think your shoulder's going to fall off when you're done with this bad boy, but it works. So don't count out hand tools if you're doing the hobby portion. Hence the reason I have been out of the gloop for like 2 months and I've only got 6 knives to show for it.
Try to keep the thuds to a dull roar here.
I don't know how good the audio is going to be anyway.
Alright, so now back to the cutting of metal. This is a very basic set of oxyacetylene torches. You have your acetylene as your main fuel source. That's what is the flame. And then your propellant is your oxygen. That's what forces the flame through the material that you're cutting. So you can get by with a cheap set because it's very basic. It's been the same setup, the same principle of operation for years and years and years. You have your valves here, which again, very basic setup. You have your tank pressure gauge and you have your line pressure gauge. This screws onto the tank, which depending on what style tank you get, you will need one of these. Wow, those threads are long. One of these adapters. This is right hand thread and left hand thread, because on the acetylene side, these little notches here, I don't know if you'll be able to see them. Let's try over here. Those little notches there means that this piece is left hand thread. And the reason that is so you don't screw it up and put oxygen to your acetylene line, because that could be pretty exciting. So that screws onto the tank. Regulator screws into that. Make sure all your unions are tight.
Yeah, you don't want to get blown up because one of them's loose.
Yeah.
Not that that's ever happened almost.
Here we have the oxygen regulator. And once again you have, let's see, there we go. You have tank pressure and line pressure. This screws directly onto the tank with the right hand thread, the normal lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And this handle on both valves controls pressure to the line. So you hook this up, you turn your tank on. This should be, on a fresh tank, 2,000 pounds per square inch, PSI. And then on line pressure, you want about 40 PSI max. You're not going to use any more than that, so you don't really have to have it all the way up there. So once those two are set, you follow the line to the torch itself, which again, you have your gas line with, probably not going to be able to see that, but those little hash marks there means left hand thread, and oxygen tank right hand thread. You can't mix them up. But here to the torch, you have the body of the torch. Both lines come in through the primary nozzles, the primary ball valves. Then up here, this nut controls what head you want on it. You can get brazing tips, you can get cutting tips, you can get these that are 3 foot long.
Those are goofy as all hell, but they have their point.
Yeah. And then you have your secondary oxygen valve with trigger. The two lines come up to the nozzle, and the tips. Figure out which camera does better at. Maybe that one. I don't know. But these nozzles, you can take off and you can get changed. Well, actually, you can change yourself. But you can get a number 1, a number 2, a number 3 tip, which that is the amount of acetylene burners on it and the size of the main oxygen jet. Change those, mess around with those, figure out what works best. I found, I think this is a number 3 tip.
So it's a byproduct of
Yeah.
acetylene burning. A lot of folks will describe a proper acetylene setup, at least from my experience, based on the amount of parachuters that come out.
Yes.
And that's the little sooty kind of dudes that kind of flow down when you're done with it. So that's why you'll see a lot of black. And if you look real close, where maybe somebody has, accidentally almost blown up somewhere else. Ish.
This is a number 3. This is a general all-purpose tip. I can cut sheet metal with it. I can cut, I just cut the railroad track with it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had no problem getting through that 7/8
Oh, no.
center.
I mean, hot knife through butter is an understatement.
But, again, read the literature on this. The best bet is to over-exaggerate all your movements. Because safety third. Thank you, Micro. You turn your gas on, you get a little bit of flame. That's an interesting interview. If you like Micro, search Micro safety third. But yeah, you turn your acetylene on, you get a little bit of flame going. Then you turn very slowly, turn it on until you see no more soot. It'll still be a soft red-orange flame, but there won't be any more excessive soot. And then up here, you turn your oxygen on until you have the little blue nipples are about an eighth of an inch thick.
Eighth of an inch?
Eighth of an inch. H. The HHR. No.
The Chevy?
The Chevy. Chevy took a shit. And then once that, because this should be set, just open that a couple of turns and you'll be alright. And then once you get it hot, it'll be orange hot, because there's orange hot, red hot, and white hot, and blue hot, which I don't think I've ever seen anything blue hot. But once you get that to the molten stage, to where you see the little dimples from the torch tips, the jets actually will dimple the metal. You squeeze this trigger, it sends oxygen out through the center hole, and you'll start cutting. And this, again, a very basic set. Actually happened upon these in a very different way, but these are all Harbor Freight stuff. And my brother, as a Christmas
It was your birthday present I bought
birthday
for you.
present, he bought me the little set. It was on sale. I tried to hook it up, found out it was the wrong one, so I took that back to the store. It wasn't on sale anymore, and I took it back to the store. So they gave me full price for it. So I said, alright, well, I want this one. Well, so I traded the small kit in for this. And I don't think I paid anything extra for it. Because this was on sale, and I went to pick this up. So we turned $25 into a full torch set. Through magic. But this, again, probably a brand new set. 2 regulators, hoses, spark arresters, and the basic torch set can be had for $75. $50 if you don't get the spark arresters, which I suggest getting the spark arresters. $50, probably $75 with the tanks. I run 120 cubic foot oxygen tank and an 80 cubic foot acetylene tank. Now, in that proportion, I'm burning 2 oxygen tanks to 1 acetylene tank. Because, again, when you're cutting, you're using a lot more oxygen to actually burn through the metal. Yeah, that's... So, all in all, 2 welders, a torch, and probably a 4-inch angle grinder and some hand tools can be had for $400.
You can make a lot of stuff with
Those
that setup.
with that arrangement.
Mm-hmm.
That's, again, the 2 welders, the torches, the tanks, everything you need to cut, shape, and fasten metal back together for $400. If you shop around, or if you don't need the stick welder right now, or if you don't want the flux core welder, you can buy this, and I mean you can weld with this.
It's true.
You put the brazing tip on. I've welded with coat hangers before when it was when it was, hey, this needs to work. Okay, well, I'll make it work then. But yeah, you can weld. This is gas arc welding, gas something welding,
Hammer welding?
hammer welding. Yeah. But yeah, it's pretty much the all-around tool between this and the stick welding. Those two things will get you far in life.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that is it for my shtick.
All right.
And there I am with the loud noises again.
So, we're going to round this out today. We're going to talk about kind of where all this got from and got started, were my forges. And yes, I have 2 forges, and it depends on what you want to do. Neither one of them is fully complete yet. To build Jakeofalltrades bush knife, samurai sword, monstrosity thing, we needed something a little bit bigger. Okay. This is the beginning of our forge. Now this is going to be a charcoal forge. Okay.
Hey, is that the bottom of a grill?
Well, it was the bottom of a grill. Okay. The basic premise behind this is that you put charcoal in here, and not the stuff you cook on. The lump hardwood charcoal. Now, I happen to have a bag because I had planned to run this at some point in the near future. Because we're gonna make a shitload of noise.
And
Right.
I was worried about, conserving noise pollution.
So anyway, not the ground up briquette kind of easy light stuff. You could use it in here to start everything because it does light very nice.
Oh yeah, match light stuff.
But
Wonderful.
this is definitely what you want in there. Now, I'm sure you're going to ask, how is it that something that I could cook burgers on is going to melt metal? Well, running right down the middle here, we have a big piece of cast iron pipe.
Black pipe.
Yep.
As
Don't use
it's-
galvanized.
As it is also referred to. Black pipe, you can run hydraulic lines through, you can run compressed gas, you can run pretty much anything through it, and it'll withstand other than chemicals.
Mhm.
But again, if you're dealing with chemicals, you should know
What you can and can't use.
what you can and can't use.
Okay. Side note, if you guys are going to build this stuff, okay, and I'll give you a quick interlude on how to build this, don't ever use galvanized. Okay? Galvanized pipe, when it heats up, the coating will actually burn off. And I forget what it creates when it burns off, but I believe it leads to mesothelioma, stuff like that.
Yeah, COPD, any of the breathing issues, and it will also actually burn your esophagus.
Yeah, it's bad stuff. It's bad news bears.
Or, well, your trachea, I guess.
Okay, so stay away from that junk. And I accidentally, I'm not gonna lie, didn't even think about it. This is galvanized pipe right here. Okay, I bought that today without really thinking about it. Okay, this is garbage. I'm gonna use it for measuring purposes. This has no place in anywhere that deals with real heat. And when I mean real heat, I mean the stuff that can, heat up metal. So anyway, you've got your charcoal in here, right? You're cooking, you want to get your burgers out, right? Wrong. Stick an air supply in that very phallic looking pipe.
That is proper black pipe.
Okay? Air supply goes in the back, you force air in through here, is exactly like the torch. Instead of using a liquid oxygen or a compressed type oxygen that then becomes regular gas, we're just whole hog cramming it right in there. It's actually the same process that a supercharger and a turbocharger make your car faster. Mighty Car Mods.
Yep.
Favorite show. Love you guys. Love that new Stadia build, by the way. So anyway,
The triple unicorn.
is it a triple or a double?
They've called it a triple unicorn.
Okay. So anyway, that's the big boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
V8 turbo all-wheel drive.
Now, what we have here is these are fireplace blocks. Okay. They will withstand heat. They are not exactly designed for forging. Okay. They're actually a little too thin, and they let the heat back out. But they're heat proof enough that I can use it to line things for this. This little guy, and what used to be a chock full of nuts coffee can, is my smaller forge. Now this one is actually complete enough that we can fire it. And what we'll do is we'll reposition the cameras and we'll fire this for you for a couple of seconds and you can kind of see what's going on. Now, again, if you're going to build this, learn from my mistake. That's too big. Okay? This is the reason why I bought the bad pipe. I didn't have this at first. Because I didn't have this, and again, this is wrong, but I didn't have anything to put in its place, you could see it doesn't fit, which means it loses heat. Okay? You need to keep as much heat as you can in this or it doesn't effectively work. Now, I'm sure that our fans are going to ask, how do you plan on using this? You showed us the fuel on the last one, no fuel on this one, right? This is designed to run on propane or MAP gas. Voila! Small propane tank, small propane burner. And again, I'm sure you're asking, well, that's just used for heating stuff up, right? How does it work? Because of the way this works, it keeps the heat inside and it keeps cycling it around and around. And actually, if you noticed, it's built at an angle. The swirl tip that's built into this, as well as the fact that it's in an angle, creates a pretty wicked swirl pattern in here, which actually sucks more air in and causes more heat. So, you can see, once it gets up to heat, and it can take a little bit of time to actually get up to full heat, you can run and turn what is essentially a nice hard piece of steel into firm butter, pretty much, with one of these. So, that's my quick little rundown. Okay, both of these have been made. I'm going to flip this up on the top so the top camera can see it. Okay, this is homemade refractory. Homemade refractory is nothing more than plaster of Paris and play sand. Now, if you noticed in the bigger one, it's a little bit grainier. I didn't have any play sand at the time, so I used a different. But anyway, this setup will last long enough for me to use this. Now, is this a full-on forge? No, you can build it better. KO wool and actual refractory cement will work better, but for the hobbyist like me, this is a good start. If I ever turn this into a profession, I would think about doing a KO wool lined version in probably a big monstrosity with like quadruple propane burners and all that kind of fun stuff. But for now, this is where we're at. So, we've talked about the forge, we've talked about making the knives, talked about some cutting and some welding. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or you just want to fire this pig and call it a day?
Well, I'm kind of interested because I'm more, again, into the welding and fabricating with multiple pieces of metal, not turning that single piece of metal into a cutter or a chopper or what have you. So I'm kind of interested to see this work.
All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to pause everything. Now, you guys up here, we're going to leave you up there because it was a pain in the ass to get you up there, so we're not cutting you down. We're going to reposition you to a point where you can see a little bit better what actually happens in this forge. So, bear with. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. All right, so here we are. We have reset. Okay, it's down on its side. Now, like we spoke about, you want to keep a little bit of the heat in there. This is open in the back by design. Okay. Sorry to cut through here on you. Okay. Say we're going to heat up Jake's big bastard here. Okay. This is a monstrosity. If if I'm going to work on the bevel right here, for example, I need to be able to pass this through and be able to heat in the back portion, right about where my hand is. I don't need to work on the front so much, but it still needs to be big enough to run through. If there was no back on this, I would be very limited. A knife such as this would be the max that I would be able to work with, because I would only be able to hit so far in. So that's why it's open on the back. In interest of conserving heat, though, we're going to put this bad boy back there. Okay? Now, it is just running on top of my desk, my workbench here, which was originally a desk, but some clown made entirely too big. So as such, I don't run it for very long. Now, you can probably see by some of the scaling and stuff that this chock full of nuts coating is melting off, and it's going to melt off as it heats. Okay, heat through here is not too bad. A lot of times, right around the opening on the side, you'll see a lot of heat come back up. So now, you need a torch that not only has a trigger and a temperature control, it also needs to lock. I apologize for the noise. This is your heads up. If you are wearing headphones, you might not want to have them running much longer, or turn your volume down. Okay? Let's see. Now, I don't know if you guys can see too well on the torch head. It swirls. Okay? What you want is something that swirls like that. Now, there's going to be some ingenious way that I mount this. Because it's not finished, it's not quite there. So, set your torch in a this way, wise-ish fashion. Alright?
Let me in.
Okay? Alright? Now, once again, the hole is entirely too big. Now, I do plan on running this later on a home-built propane variant. From actually, Grant Thompson, King of Random. I saw this on his channel. I plan on reproducing it. So, Grant, if you're watching my channel, thanks for the heads up. That looks like an awesome project. I'm going to get started on that this week. So anyway, we're going to fire it. Now, if you were dumb enough to put your headphones back on, I feel sorry for you, because this is going to get pretty loud. Alright, now, as you can see, the flame is kind of blue right now. Alright, that's a pretty hot flame. What's going to happen is the entire interior is going to start to turn more orange. Alright, that means it's starting to heat up. Also, you can see that it's starting to swirl around in there. That's what you want it to do. It's actually going to suck a little bit more air in and uprate the heat. We're going to put the big bastard in there just because I can. Now, I do have to finish some work on this. It is not quite a finished product yet. We have to work on a way to keep them heated up a little bit more. We are running this a little bit quicker than I would like to. Like I said, the forge is not fully up to heat yet. Now, hopefully you guys can see. You can see how the color is starting to turn, right? And now if Jakeofalltrades here comes down and shows you, see how that temperature has changed? Yes, you still have the blue flame, but right here on the outside, you're starting to see the color change a little bit. Everything's starting to heat up. Essentially, you want a nice, warm orange glow all in there. Now, I do have gloves that I typically wear. A project like this, towards the end, will get kind of warm, but the bigger the knife, the more likely you could just do it by hand. Something like this bad boy, be kind of brave to try and do that by hand. And, you know, I don't have a whole lot of knuckle hair going on, but I'd rather not have my skin melt off either. Alright, we're going to grab this bad boy here. Alright, you see that kind of healthy orange glow? It's starting to fade real quick because of the heat and the cooling. Basically, that's the color you want to start seeing. Now, hopefully this will get hot enough in the limited amount of time we have. Now, once again, the knife that's in there is a generic welding steel. This is actually O1 tool steel. Okay? If I do this properly, I can harden this, and it will be a fully functioning knife. This stuff will never harden or become a fully functioning knife. I could probably harden it, but it wouldn't be very pretty, and it's going to be like super brittle.
Running out of GoPro battery.
Okay. Alright. Well, we're running low on battery here, so we're going to pull this out here real quick and see where we're at. Okay, there you go. See that nice color right there? That's where you want to be. You want to start seeing a nice cherry color. Alright. We're going to shut that down because it's actually time to go. The primary GoPro here is low on battery. So, we just want to give you guys a little thank you for checking us out and seeing what we're up to. In the future, I would like to possibly do a knife making video, or maybe I'll film my tong forgings and we'll play around with that. You've got some unboxing and some super awesome stuff to take care of.
Oh, yes.
The show about his truck and the future upgrades is also going to be on the show. And we will get back to your regular DTM stuff in the near future. So, I apologize about cutting it short. My battery's about to die, and I don't have time to go find a new one. So, I'm Chaco.
I'm Jakeofalltrades.
Formerly the other guy. We'll catch you guys later. You gonna do your little...
Yeah, I'm still in the or on the market for a good outro. And other than peace out, because, you know, I feel like a hippie. Not a hipster. My beard's more impressive.
And real.
And real, yes. So, I guess for now, peace out, and we'll catch you next time.
Later.